brother.
All right, teams, are you ready for your women's City versus City Fours Challenge Final? Coming to you from Team New Orleans, Winkle, Simo, Devanne Sowers, and Kahlee York. Coming to you from St. Pete, Aurora Davis, Ashley Painter, Kennedy Coakley, and Lydia Smith. All right, fans, on your feet, let's go. Women's final first point.
Check. There we are, we're into the action here. Women's finals underway. Devanne Winkle wasting no time, attacking the line of Davis. I'm Nick England, joined by Michael Klinsman and Leela Tucker back on the mic joining us. If at first you do succeed, then absolutely run it back. Outside to Coakley, she finds the coffin corner, going hard angle. That's a great rip there. All right, gents, before we get too deep into this one, what are we looking for? What's the quick breakdown? And I need a score prediction of, overall set count.
All right, well, I've got St. Pete taking this. I think it's going to go to 3, but I've got St. Pete winning this. I think their firepower on the pins just slightly outmatches the other sides. Great attackers on both sides, but Kennedy Coakley out here, as we've seen already early in this match, is going to be a problem. I've got it close, though. So we'll go first set 21-18, this side, St. Pete. Next set, we'll go 21-19. Abby, don't do that. I'm trying to predict something here. Don't do that. Third set, 15-12.
Looking to keep that close all the way. The barn burners, safe bets. I like that, but going 3, good prediction. All right, Michael, what do you got?
I also have it going 3, but I have Simo having over 10 kills in this match, turning the tide 15-12 in the third.
15-12 in the third, and so you're going with New Orleans on that one.
I'll take first set St. Pete 21-18, second set New Orleans 21-16, and then third set 15-12.
All right, I'm going to get spicy. I think that when we get to the out-of-system situations, I think that New Orleans has that X factor. I think they're going to take this one in 2. I'm going to go basically 21-19s on both, kind of keep it as safe as I can for a 2-0. But I think that right now they're firing on all cylinders. Bumps it out to Coakley. One-handed dig there from Savvy. There's a big swing on the right side from Smith. The lefty getting it done.
And you talk about defense. I mean, 2 great digs by each team there. This is going to be a long game.
I agree. Lydia definitely confirming Leela's theory, turning it to law with that side up. Well done.
I think the real X factor here is Lydia Smith. Her offense has been absolutely lights out. We've seen her have a little bit of struggle with passing at times. I think New Orleans needs to really focus on her. If they're not able to get her out of system and make some adjustments that we've seen, I think St. Pete is going to be, I think that you've got a good call there, Leela.
I mean, you see there, though, one thing that does kind of worry you about that St. Pete team, a lot of girls over there have only played beach. And you see a rotation there with a free ball coming over. A little bit of miscommunication. A free ball almost falls because they don't quite have that indoor rotation in them.
Yeah, you spoke to, like, that's where, like, Nick Amato is so experienced. Some of those guys that have that indoor or the grass fours, what do you do in that chaotic, out-of-system moment? That's where San Diego's done so well. It feels like they are never shaken. Same thing even with North Carolina. There's a ton of indoor experience there as well, so just ready to kind of wear whatever hat is required. Wow, huge sharp angle swing for Smith, and we're going to see an early timeout taken on the side of New Orleans. Well, if you're in system, everything looks good.
Yeah, I mean, a dive block there by Devanne as well, and Lydia just going even sharper. Always more angle, as they say.
That's one of those big advantages you see, too. Being the lefty, it really is the advantage is extenuated here when you see going full pin to pin. There is so much range. Evan Corey's been having a ton of success being that natural lefty, and there really aren't many here. So big advantage there, I think, for Smith.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the set distribution, though, looking at this, 7-3 early lead, we're 10 points in. But yesterday, majority of balls going to Kennedy Coakley, and you've already seen now Lydia Smith taking 4 swings early on in this game. We'll see if that keeps up.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. And on the women's side, a little different than the men's. We see kind of a standard 2 small back row, 2 huge pins up front, and they're just going to work. Whoever the hot horse is, hot hand, ride them, and let them go to work. So it'll be interesting to see that develop for sure.
Lydia's such a tough matchup to stop, too. Such a high elbow, last-second wrist turn makes it tough to position yourself well.
Yeah, hopefully New Orleans can figure out a way to funnel some of these swings towards, Sav. They've got 2 great defenders back here, so they've got to figure out a way to get them some digs.
Yeah, Kahlee York's really been just glue on this team. Her hands have been great, but she's gotten some huge digs as well. Going right back to Devanne there. Huge swing, good effort. Are they going to track it down? Lydia Smith gives it a chance. Just not enough of one.
Ashley Pater not taking the airbender route to try and hit that into the back of the ref's head.
There's enough airflow going through this little wind tunnel here that, get a little English on that ball, maybe bend it back in.
Yeah, for those who are watching, the wind here is interesting. The fans do add a little bit, but there's wind literally coming from both end lines at different spots, so the ball is going to move pretty weirdly on this court. It's been very interesting to play in.
And since we are watching from a technical view, there have been some pretty wicked serves caught on film, buying the players a little bit of good faith as well. So we've been shouting their praises, because we've been feeling it up here. Notes blowing around, and Van Winkle sends that one long, no touch. Well, St. Pete off and running early here. New Orleans has really succeeded when they get the longer rally. Like you said, a little bit of a block funnel, maybe get the dig. When they're out of system, that's when they're at their best. But right now, the serve and pass game going the way of St. Pete. Simo out of the middle goes that roll short shot, but picked up quickly. Good off-net dig and an opportunity for Sowers. Puts that one away.
Biggest advantage right there to having a lefty on the right is when you get out of system like that. You have outlets on both sides that can hit a ball very easily. You don't have a righty on the right hitting an over-the-shoulder ball.
Yeah, that is so hard to track that over. And on the sand, making any last-minute adjustments, if you read it wrong initially, good luck. Smith dimes that pass. Opportunity for Coakley. Lipped by Savvy, but it is an overpass. Tight pass goes for option on 2. Doug. Tight joust to the net. Reset. Kennedy Coakley tagging the sideline just on the outside, but definitive all the same.
Two good digs there by Savvy and Kahlee. That's what we're talking about.
A little jumbo is always a good thing.
So far, some weird kills by New Orleans over there. And I think if you're St. Pete, you've got to live with those and just keep playing your game.
Oh, there's the short ace. Very uncharacteristic, catching Aurora Davis short. She's been so phenomenal as that middle back defender. It's a great point. You talk about kind of that middle fortitude. How do you wipe off the ones that you know you should get versus, hey, that's just a good point, or a weird one?
False confidence.
And the memory of a goldfish at times. Wow, big swing, good deflection there from Van Winkle. Now it's her turn to swing into it, lipped by Pater. And on two, a huge swing. Now an opportunity, Sowers with the off-speed roll over her head. That's the experience right there in a very high tension situation.
What a swing by Kennedy Coakley off that Ashley Pater dig, and just, I mean, Devin Sowers telling her you don't got to work that hard, all right? It's easy.
Smith is the only option there. Good fix by Pater. Sowers locking it down. 4 in a row right there. This is the New Orleans I was expecting to see a little more. A little bit of that gumption to go with their gumbo down there. Got it gritty. And then Simo leaves it short. Oh.
Yeah, conversation we had on our team whenever we had a few big runs, maybe some big plays, was the guys back on the service line pop that next one in. You know, let's make the other team play for one, and then you can green light it again.
Yeah. Let them, if they snap a big one in front of you, again, who cares? We got the big adrenaline point when everyone's chest is doing a little bit of that thump thump. But we are going to take a small technical break. We're at 10-11, 21 points. That means time for a breather. We'll be right back for set number 1 to get underway. Getting back into it here, I think one of the big questions I always wonder, you see a huge effort here from New Orleans. They kind of ring that lead back in. The question is, do they have what it takes to now start threatening to push a lead? And I think that's one of those kind of that big gut checks. Is this St. Pete faltering, New Orleans figuring it out, or just kind of a nice little 4-point run to get them back into it? Sowers takes a big swing. Smith answers back. She felt slighted from that little block on the right side earlier. Wasted no time getting Devin Sowers back for that one.
Yeah, you talk about the experience, and on this side of New Orleans, you've got Sav and Abby, who performed very well on the AVP and international level, and Devin Sowers has been coming into her own, and Kahlee York, who's just been, you know, consistent. Versus a young squad over there in Pater and Coakley, and then the other two elder statesmen who have been around but maybe not had the success of a Savvy and Abby. So we'll see how the mental fortitude plays out for this side.
And just like that, you see that out-of-system ball. We talked about how hard it is to hit that off the right shoulder, but Van Winkle cranked that ball. Great look from her. Pater going back, slowed down by Sowers. Coakley now slowed down, dug by Sowers. Opportunity out of the middle, Savvy puts it through the tape, and that might have helped her, to be honest. That dropped it down a little bit in front of the defense of Davis. Sav does a great job of, even though it's sometimes late coming out of the middle, she gets to the ball, and teams are rarely able to react quick enough to get to her. Oh, Smith gets absolutely lipped by York. Ooh, sent long by Van Winkle.
Devin asking for some hands over there. She wants a lift from Pater, but I don't think she's going to get it today.
Pater is the quintessential beach setter. Every one of them, as an indoor player, you die a little bit inside, but man, are they silky smooth. There is no rotation. It comes out so clean. She is so technical. And Van Winkle with back-to-back. Oh, there it is. We get touch calls from both of our line judges. Abby didn't even wait for the call. She knew that one from the moment she hit it. So
Kennedy seemed convinced as well, so I'll believe her, but I didn't think there was a touch.
I'm with you. I thought it was OT. Backside to Smith. I think that's a little interesting on the defensive setup. Sowers going all the way to the pin there. Sav sitting right behind her. I think we've kind of doubled up the defense there. I'd like to see that block come into the angle a little bit more, especially for a lefty in that situation. Coakley leaves that one short and tied at 14s. Man, anytime someone falters by just 1 point, the other team ready to make their 2-point run. This is one that anytime you get that real point, you earn it, keep one on your serve, you feel a huge sigh of relief.
Yeah, and here's this serve receive with Pater in the back with Aurora to try and take some load off of Lydia, and then one of them is going to release and set.
Heads up call, we talked about it a lot yesterday, but you identified it from the get-go, and right there, no setter required. Lydia just going off, stepped on 2.
Yeah, that'll do. That'll do.
Expert analysis thwarted by functionality on the court.
Interested to see if they get Savvy going thumb down, hard driven here. She was so successful in pool play with that hard driven ball.
Oh man, Abby Van Winkle gave her a ball width and she took it.
What a set by Kahlee York too. She's gone against flow the last few balls where she's really moving that ball long distance across the net.
It's meaningful coming from you, the way you were setting this tournament.
Hey, we talked about that the hands a little bit ago. Pater gets called right there. Taking that one a little too deep.
And, you know, what is too deep after you've seen the first, 30 points of this game? Because she set pretty much everyone the same. And it does seem like, and this is where some experience on that other side of getting in the ref's ear a little bit, right? Bringing it to his attention that that's borderline now has paid off for them, because you get a close one that I think is the same as the others.
Exactly, and it's that weird thing where how many times do you let it go? Now are you going to start calling every one? And now you're in Pater's head a little bit, making her think about it. Down ball there. Simo takes 2. Winkle misses the left hand of Coakley. I will say, I think that's also one of the slept-on things. I think Savvy is the best non-setting setter of any women's team in this. So as soon as we see some of those digs come out from York, it's just Simo dishing butter every time. Well, there it is. Aurora Davis, Ma and Pa finds the seam between them.
She was critical in that semifinal with that 10-point burst. It's hard to
Yeah.
stop if you get 10 aces.
Sends that one just long, and that's one of those things that in the indoor game you hear liberos sometimes not really get addressed. They don't serve, they're just passing, maybe finding a dig. And here, the equivalent kind of being that middle back, not really attacking, a lot of responsibilities in the passing game, and they can't really swing out of it. So when you see, someone like Aurora that's been getting so many serving runs, it's so clear the contribution that she's making. Savvy, another kind of equivalent. And I think that as teams progress, there's a direct correlation to the quote-unquote role players who are actually really carrying a heavy load.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see there another kill from Lydia Smith in the back middle-ish part of the court, which in fours, if you don't have block calls, can be kind of a no man's land. And she's found it twice now with success. We'll see if they make an adjustment defensively.
Oh man, huge effort there. Van Winkle tries to pull that one out of the net, but that ball was just trying to get caught like a trout swimming downstream right there. Every single contact put it right back into the net, just couldn't find a way out of it. St. Pete now with a 2-point lead, 19-17.
Yeah, I think New Orleans has to find a way to get Devin Sowers a few more sets here. She hasn't seen a lot in this last half of the set.
Yeah, and I think Abby's swinging at a high clip, but not necessarily terminal in those big key moments. But hey, a missed serve counts.
Once again, Ashley Pater back in serve receive. We'll see who sets, her or Aurora Davis, depending on who gets served here.
Little changeup going after Coakley on the outside. Huge dig by Sowers as the off blocker. Out of system, Simo just going to see this one over the net. Pater goes back again. Smith, Doug. Simo takes two, bump set overhead. Sowers with the crafty roll high line, 19-19.
Yeah, I mean, you see two deep swings to the middle there, and you see Kahlee finally stepping in to take that away from Lydia, and then Devin Sowers going jumbo over Ashley Pater over there.
You're 3 for 3, Leela. You wanted to see more sets going there? The overhead bump set was a brilliant, brilliant touch there from Savvy. And the ace. Van Winkle, timely as ever.
You know, in this serve-receive lineup, I think your ideal world is Kennedy Coakley getting served, because there's no amount of miscommunication that can happen. But I mean, maybe not with Abby back here serving.
Are you saying if you're a St. Pete, you're hoping that she gets served?
I think you want her to get served, because there's no amount of confusion between Aurora and Ashley.
I totally agree. So I'm kind of surprised in this situation.
She's a great passer.
Yeah. So it's almost like you're not getting a bad passer, and you're not getting an option for miscommunication. If it's me, at this point, you can launch a sky ball between the other two just to make sure that it's not one of the pins passing. But
yeah, I mean, I'm serving Pater if I'm this New Orleans team.
Totally agree with you there. We're going to take a quick breather. 19-20. This one's got plenty of gas left in the tank. Don't go anywhere. And just like that, New Orleans on a 3-point run from down 17-19. They've surged back to 2019, all on the back of Abby Van Winkle putting together an amazing serving run, continuing to target Coakley. Dug by Simo. Here's an opportunity. Sowers to Van Winkle. Off balance, but puts it in. Quick dig. Simo reverses. Sowers with a chance to win the set. No contact on the block. Both pins getting a lot of off-balance swings. St. Pete weathers the New Orleans Storm there to tie us at 20. We're going to see at least one extra point here.
First time you've seen New Orleans put a little bit of pressure on during a rally. They've seemingly been on their heels. That's the first time I've seen them attacking.
Sowers the only option here. Rolls high line, takes Pater out of the offense. Lydia Smith slowed down. Great block touch. Another opportunity for Sowers. Sowers dug comes over, taken by Van Winkle. Sowers wasn't quite ready for that one. Pater's going to try to fix this backside to Smith. Dug down the line by Simo. Van Winkle on the run. Can they get a third contact? They cannot. Great attempt from New Orleans, but St. Pete's got their helmets on. They're ready for their long rally.
Yeah, big sight out here coming for New Orleans. I mean, they last probably 7 balls straight to Devin Sowers. I mean, she might be a little tired right now, but she's going to have to be ready for another set here.
Big players make big plays, and she's got one more coming her way. Or it goes to Savvy the Savage Simo right down the middle. Absolutely buries that one to save the set number 1 for New Orleans. Bump set over her back. What a play. Speaks to Kahlee York. If you haven't heard her name, say it again. My God, what a set.
She's had a couple where she was a little tighter to the net, opened up, and setting perfectly out of system.
And like that, Sowers finds just a little bit more in the tank. We were critical of serving Coakley, and just like that, Pater breaks down. Set point once again for New Orleans. Pater's got hands. Coakley's got an opportunity. Dug by Simo. New Orleans, can they take it? No, Lydia Smith takes it away. She has been so clutch in some of these one-on-one blocking opportunities against Sowers on the right side.
That was massive by Lydia there. You hate to get a defensive stop in side-out situations, but you'll take it.
Trickles. Pater says, ace me once, shame on me. I'll ace you right back.
Set to Devanne Sowers here. Over/under.
Definitely.
I don't think you can over/under that. It's just 1,000%.
Kahlee has been like dishing the rock back. I can see her sending a back set here. Yeah.
There it is. See, I was about to take the third option, just go, well, Savvy scored the last one, runner again.
Now, who does Savvy serve here? You've gotten an ace off of Pater, and that seam has a lot of uncertainty in it between Aurora and Pater.
I'm aiming right of Aurora.
There it is.
That one, for that reason.
That's it.
Because Aurora wants to step in, Pater wants to make sure it doesn't fall, and that we have seen that exact play 3 or 4 times where Pater knows she can pass it, but kind of goes gas off. Outside, Smith gets rejected. Sowers had the set taken away from her, and now she earns it back with the exact same play. The Devanne Sowers Lydia Smith head-to-head is just paying off. 25-23.
I don't know what Devanne was looking at, but that was a long look there, Devanne. I mean, geez, give her a break.
Yeah.
She's earned that much. Well, that's going to do it for set number 1 in the women's finals. It's going the distance. We're going to see it here. We'll be right back after this. Well, back into set number 2. Set number 1 certainly delivered. 25-23 was that final count. And Abby Van Winkle wastes no time. If you're just joining us, you're here for City versus City. Day number 3. This is the women's final. New Orleans in black taking on St. Pete in blue. Simo looks for option, leaves that one a little short. While we're getting running, I do want to say a quick thank you to all of our sponsors: Waste Connections, Liberty Materials, Mikasa Volleyball, Jump Serve, Volleyball USA, and Sanderac, without which your support, this tournament would not be happening. So thank you so much for getting behind this amazing project, bringing together this awesome talent from all over the country, bringing 20 teams to Humble, Texas for some awesome volleyball. Currently a 2-1 lead here for St. Pete. Pater goes after Sowers. Sowers gets lipped on the line, option on 2. That one gets away from Coakley.
two hitting errors early for Coakley. We'll see how she bounces back, but she's been, you know, their steady kind of horse this whole weekend. Too early for her in this second set after dropping the first.
All the more reason I don't actually want, I would make sure every serve avoids her. I don't want her feeling good about any part of her game. Don't let her pass her way out of kind of a hitting slump. Isolate her, let her sit there and think about every single swing.
Lydia Smith bombed down the line. First dig we've seen from Simo that hasn't gone directly in the middle of the court.
Conversely to Coakley, Lydia Smith's been an absolute problem for plenty of teams. That lefty on the right side, so that's where this team has gotten to where they are. They have so much offensive threat. It just depends who it's going to be, and sometimes you don't need the offense, you just need a good block. Shut down in the middle.
First time Kennedy's helped on that middle ball from Savvy. She got 2 or 3 kills in the first set, and Kennedy finally made the adjustment to come over and help.
And this is nothing if not a game of adjustments. Van Winkle throws that middle to Savvy. Savvy rolls over the top, but a great move by Davis. A pokey attempt from Pater sends that one long.
You know, I always worry when you see the young kids out here, talented as ever in Kennedy and Ashley Pater. You drop a lead like you did the first set, and now you see 3 early errors from those 2.
Yes.
And that's where you have to rely on some experience. But, I mean, I'm never putting those 2 out of it. I've still got them picked.
It speaks to, though, like these are the matches you earn your stripes. This is what makes you a veteran. How do you handle that situation? Are you clutch? And Coakley answers the question there. An absolute 50-50 ball. Jets that down, thumb down, handles business.
And not that Kennedy Coakley isn't experienced. I mean, she spent some time on the World Tour with Brooke Sweat, who is, you know, played behind Carey. So she's got some experience under her. But, you know, at this level, time matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of that been there, done that sort of story. But right there, Sowers scores another big one. We talk about that corner pocket. Just, it's hers all day long. Scores another big one.
Lydia Smith back in serve receive here.
You've been all over that when we talked about it a little bit before. Love the look, Leela. But she's not even the target there. Aurora Davis and an uncharacteristic ace.
Aurora, not playing on the World Tour at all, has not experienced this Mikasa as much as those girls on that side have. This ball wobbles a little bit.
Yes, it does. As the local Mikasa guy, can confirm, but that experience very, very helpful. Heads up play from Sauer to send it on 2. Another one going to Simo. She is all over that. High line, good pickup by Davis. Driven ball by Coakley. Too much for Savvy. Got her once, got her twice, never thrice.
You know, this is where being too close to a situation can hurt you, because Kennedy's hit majority of her balls at Savvy. That's the one that has gotten by her. And we'll see if she makes an adjustment to try and get the ball away from Savvy.
Good take from Simo. Big swing by Van Winkle. I will say that's actually been one of my criticisms of everyone playing against New Orleans. Savvy's doing a good job playing into both teams. Teams are not finding the pins at all. I feel like if we got to stat the amount of balls received by the pins on New Orleans, it would be negligible compared to how many Savvy passes. Big high swing there. Lydia Smith using all of that length.
Yeah, you talk about serve receive. They served Devanne a bit in the first set, past nails. When do we give Abby a ball, right? We got to test her out. Savvy and Devanne have proven that they can pass the ball well. Abby needs to see one as we go back to Devanne.
Bit of a gimme. Well, I said it was a gimme. That's a huge reversal on the set. That one goes a little deep, but there it is. Lydia Smith, we talk about the power she brings coming cross court. Heads up, cut back with a little pokey over the top.
Big bump reverse set by Kahlee there. I think that ball goes straight up and down to Devanne, unless you have somebody really big on the right side, say Taylor Sander. Chuck that ball from wherever you want from the stands and he'll find it.
Overhead, Van Winkle. A little bit in front of that one. She's kind of backpedaling, trying to get behind it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
Good blocking move from Coakley. Leela, you talked a little bit earlier about kind of, do you butter the ref up? You're playing the long game, and we hear it there. Pater getting in the ref's ear. We see a double there. What, you know?
I mean, very, she's picking up on the vet moves. That was a very clear conversation, right? Double? No? Okay, we'll take a look at it later.
Huge swing from Sauer, beating that block down the line. And everyone that wonders why, it's like, think about when someone questions your decision making. Now every time you have to make a similar decision, you feel that you're either going to make your call or you're going to have to redefend the same thing, even if it was right. And that's the little thing you're kind of picking at in a ref's brain when you're kind of laying that foundation for when I'm going to argue this call once again. Back into the action, a huge touch block there. Simo gets a chance. She pokes it deep. Heads up play by Davis not to take that open hand. Would have been a tough one. Simo goes on 2. Van Winkle putting some heat, but it's put down by Devanne Sowers. Patrolling at the net, just waiting for that overpass.
And as you said, Simo being the best second setter in this tournament right now on the women's side. Proven there. Kahlee York, good dig, but Savvy and Abby have that connection. Nice little tempo ball out there.
Bump set, this is going to be a tough swing, but not for Coakley, getting it done. That's one of the interesting things on the women's side. No one's making double block moves. On the men's side, you see that bailout high ball bump, you know you've got a double, if not a triple, depending on who you're playing, coming your way. Nice pass by Van Winkle. Very tight. Sent deep for another chance here. St. Pete snaps down the line, heads up, swing by Lydia Smith. That is so hard on the blocker responsibilities when that comes inside the court at all as a lefty. You know they've got so much range on the move, and Lydia just cuts it back down the line. All the way to the pin. Good touch to slow that one on the block by Smith, but Pater unable to come up with the dig. 11-9, St. Pete, little lead here. Abby was the one responsible for the crawling out of this 2-point deficit at the end of set 1. See if she can do it again here.
That was a big time pass by her in that last one. They definitely tested her in serve receive. Funnel.
Wow. That was, she went OT on that and still went out. That was,
Well, and Devin and Savvy there having a little conversation right after that swing. I gotta think that a game plan had something to do with them pushing her to that sideline there.
Yeah, there was a quick like, hey, great call sort of look. But if I've ever heard a great call, it's the one that we're going to take a quick breather here at the technical break at 11-10. We'll be right back.
Let's go, ladies. Showtime.
.11 is the score after that technical timeout. If you're joining us, it is set number 2. New Orleans one under the belt, but one down here with a deficit, seeing if they can battle their way back, but that is not the way to do it. Van Winkle leaves that one in the net.
We'll see who Lydia goes after. Again, like Mike was saying, only one ball to Abby so far. tries to go 2. Cross-court floater, though, from that corner. I don't like it. I like 2 steps in. It's a little bit easier of an angle, but we'll see what they do in this side out.
Sauer's been hitting that top spin all tournament long. No reason to stop now. Absolutely buries that, gets the overpass. Van Winkle cleans it up. Those are the points right now that are going to make the difference in this game. We're seeing very few overpasses, both teams living in control, but what a swing from the back line.
That was athletic by Abby there.
Yeah. Step close, got around it, finished it off. Nice pass. Deflected back in, almost catches the line. Devin Sowers, right spot, good calibration, just a little too much heat there on the left from Coakley. This net, I think, got cranked up about 4 or 5 inches during that technical timeout. Everyone's struggling a little bit on the way out of it.
It is warm out here in Houston, Texas.
Leila, I'm interested to hear, with your experience in the game that you played, did you find success in a particular vantage point from the service line? Did you like going from the right side or left?
I mean, for me, just because I'm playing D on the right, I was serving from the right. But for a floater going cross court, I never like it corner to corner. I think anytime you attack that sideline a little too sharply, you bring the net into play and you bring out of bounds into play a little too much. So a couple steps in, from that serve by Lydia, and I think she's okay.
Oh, a little punch dig there, not coming up from Davis. I think that's a great point. We've been talking about with the Mikasa ball, some of the players haven't played with it as much. We've been liking the corner to corner, but maybe that's a good bit of an adjustment. Not the full corner to corner, bring it in a couple feet, but let the ball run, because it's going to move the less experienced players that haven't seen the global, the world tour. Not a lot of experience yet there.
Exactly, and I think if you go right where Kahlee's at right now to that cross court corner, that ball will eventually die to the sideline or die into the seam like that one did.
You're a solid 4 for 4 on the. You say something and have a fun. This is a show and tell session with Leila Tucker. Well done, sir.
I don't want to call myself a magician, but I did just think in my head how Abby's doing such a good job staying disciplined on the line, and Kennedy finally brings one back and she gets a block.
Very, very timely block. Another huge block touch. Opportunity here. Nice bump set from the ground for Pater. Savvy makes the easy bump set. Little tight. Nice recovery. Van Winkle's going to get a chance. Punches that one through the low side of the right-hand block there for Coakley. Have to wonder, was that a little bit of an ego swing by Coakley, going back at her after getting blocked, challenging line again?
I mean, I'm looking at Abby's lineup here against Coakley, because Abby has had no trouble getting into the cross court, whereas Abby's lineup on her block is right hand on ball, left hand into the seam / angle, and Kennedy's having a really hard time getting around her anywhere except for into Simo's lap. And so I have to think it's just, again, an experience thing from Abby, knowing how to line her up exactly where she needs it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see those dynamics, and that's the other thing we talked about a little bit with Troy Field when he was over here yesterday. People don't realize how many balls cross the plane of the net within probably 8 inches of the plane. When you go block, you don't want to be up there with huge paddles. Get over and take it away. And it's all about the more that you penetrate the net, the more that you're taking angles away behind you. And that's what Abby and Savvy clearly have that relationship down to a science, because they are playing off of each other very, very well.
And when you play a guy like Phil, you can't go up there with him. So it does you no justice, like you're saying. You want to get over, take away space, make sure if it does hit you, you're getting a block.
Right.
Also a testament to Kahlee's setting. She's pushing her all the way out to the pin to get that option.
Nice peel dig there from Sowers. Opportunity. Van Winkle getting it done.
And interesting offense over there by St. Pete. I was wondering if they were going to bring Kennedy Coakley a little more out of the middle to try and open up some angles for her. You see her there coming into the middle and Aurora running around for the outside.
Ooh. You said it earlier, Leela. When you get that big point, pop the next one in. Make sure just see the rally.
Make them play. Make them play, man.
Davis, traditionally a great server on St. Pete. Bit of an ISO pass right there, but we saw a little bit of maybe was there not enough gas in the tank at the end of set 1 for Sowers. She answered, no, just 2 bad swings. Wasn't the ones I wanted. She is right back on the horse here in 2.
Yeah, and I think Lydia had her there. She wants that one back for sure.
Back set, Smith, there it is. Beats that blocker almost underneath of it. Nobody home for that defensive stop.
That's that block move you're talking about, going high, trying to get up there with her and her reach instead of getting pressed over, and she sneaks one under you.
Oh, there it is. That cross-court diving ball. Lydia Smith, she needed that. What was almost looking out of reach for St. Pete. Now a breath of fresh air, down by just 1. Lydia Smith lighting up the service line. We talked about that angle, though. The more you go sharp, that angle creeps up on you, and he got her there.
I mean, it's a big court. You know, these girls play beach doubles. Beach fours might be a little bit newer. It's a big court. You got a little more distance to travel.
Oh, Devin Sowers. That one might just be the nail in the coffin. 20-17, match point. I don't want to say I told you so, but with a point like this.
It's a big serve by Devin there. Big jump serve.
Goes right back to that seam. That one was that was gonna be out of bounds, but got a bit of a saving grace there.
And you know, we've been talking about Lydia Smith and serve receive. So far, the best pass off of a Devin Sowers serve has been Lydia Smith in that last seam.
All eyes on Kennedy Coakley here. 18-20. She's got to get at least 2 real points put together for St. Pete. Abby Van Winkle unloads, dug by Pater. Aurora Davis gives this one another chance. Free ball opportunity. Doug, huge move by Davis. Smith hammers back. What a play. All eyes on Aurora Davis. Open net, flips that ball. Absolutely crucial, and that's going to draw the timeout on the side of New Orleans. We need a breather, so do you. Grab a drink, grab a seat. We'll be right back in 1 minute. Well, Coakley has earned one of her 2 reels that she needed to. One more here. St. Pete down 19-20, not out of the woods yet. Good pass by Van Winkle. Opportunity for Sowers. And that's going to do it. Devin Sowers will not be dug twice. 2 straight sets, 25, 23, 21, 29. New Orleans takes the women's very first city versus city championship.
Congratulations to New Orleans for winning the CvC 4v4 inaugural tournament. And congratulations to St. Pete for finishing second and battling the whole way through, guys. Congratulations.
A huge shout out to New Orleans for winning that. You're winning 4. That's Abby Van Winkle, Kahlee York, Simo, and Devanne Sowers. And a shout out on the side of St. Pete, Kennedy Coakley, Lydia Smith, Ashley Pater, Aurora Davis. From here at City vs. City, I'm Nick England. I'm with Michael Klinsman, and we've been joined by Leela Tucker. We'll be back here for the men's championship very quickly.